Hello dear friends and welcome back to our series today. Today we are going to cover about host connectivity. In previous videos we covered about introduction to networks and telecommunication. Also we covered networks topology. So if you have not checked out, then please make sure you check that out before you continue with this video so you can be able to understand better. So in today's series we are going to discuss about host connectivity. And the first type of host connectivity that we are going to discuss about is called peer-to-peer networks or peer-to-peer connection. In this session covers peer-to-peer networks when local area network or wide area network technologies are used. Many computers are interconnected to provide services to their users. So in this peer-to-peer connection, we are saying that when a local LAN or WAN technologies are used, many computers are interconnected to provide services to the users. To accomplish this, networked computers take on different roles or functions in relation to each other. To accomplish this, we have seen that each and every user or each and every computer takes a different role to accomplish this in a better situation. So some types of application require computers to function as equal partners. Other types of applications distribute their work so that one computer functions to a server to a number of other in an equal relationship. So we are saying that one computer can be function as a server, while whereas others can function as just normal users. So in this scenario, we can be able to see that two computers generally use request and response protocol to communicate with each other. So one computer requests, for example, for a file, then the other one responds by giving that file or responding to the query that has been sent to it. So in a peer-to-peer connection, each and every computer is connected to the other one, and each computer at some point it acts as a server, other one acts as a user, and this may change interchangeably. So one computer issues a request for a service, and a second computer receives and responds to that request. That's what we have just explained in the above diagram. Then we say the requester acts like a client, and the responder acts like a server. So for example, in this scenario, when someone requests for a document, that person acts as a client, where another one responds to the request that has been sent, that acts as a server. In a peer-to-peer network, networked computers act as equal partners or peers. As peers, each computer can take on the client function or the server function. Computer A may request for a file from computer B, which then sends the file to computer A. Computer A acts like the client and computer B acts like the server. At a later time, computer A and B can reverse the roles. So we have seen that one computer will act as a client, whereas the other computer act like a server. And these roles may change according to the time or the one who is sending the request. In a peer-to-peer connection or in a peer-to-peer network, individual users control their own resources. So in this case, for example, if I have my machine or my computer and another person requests for file, I have the control of the resources that I can give to that person. The user may decide to share certain files with others, or may decide not to share some of the files. So since this one is controlled by individuals, the user may also require password before they allow others to access their resources. For example, if you have your computer, you can encrypt your information or you can encrypt your files so that the other person who is requesting for your information may require a password or may require a verification before he or she takes the file that you need. Since individual user make this decision, there is no central point of control or administration in the network. In addition, individual users must back up their own system to be able to recover from data loss in case of failures. When a computer acts as a server, the use of that machine may experience reduced performance as the machine serves the request made by the other system. So we have said in this case, since it is a peer-to-peer connection, there is no administration or there is no point of control or a central point of control, since each and every person will control the resources that he or she shares with the network. Also, you have said that since this happens and the machine at the same time it's acting like a server responding to the queries that are being sent by other users, the performance of the machine may reduce. So peer-to-peer networks are relatively easy to install and operate. So these ones, since you don't need much operation skills, since each and every individual can be able to manage their resources, so it is easy to install and operate. No additional equipment is necessary beyond a suitable operating system installed on each computer. Since users control their own resources, no dedicated administrators are needed. So in this case, we have seen that no special operating system is required as far as it is suitable for sharing of the information, and also there is no dedicated administrator of the system. As network grows, peer-to-peer relation becomes increasingly difficult to coordinate. For example, it is better if you can manage less or equal to 10 people, but when the number increases, it is difficult to manage that number. A peer-to-peer network works well with 10 or few computers. Since peer-to-peer networks do not scale well, their efficiency increases rapidly as the number of computers on their network increases. Also, individual users control access to the resources on their computers, which means security may be difficult to maintain. The client-server model of the networking can be used to overcome the limitation of the peer-to-peer network. So we have seen that in this case, there are so many drawbacks of the same, since, for example, you cannot be able to manage or secure the document. Only the person who is capable of that is the user or the individual who is using the machine. So you're saying that you can use another method which is called client-server model, so that you can be able to manage whatever is. So we have seen that in client-server model of networking can be used to overcome this limitation of peer-to-peer network. So that brings us to the next type of network connectivity, which is client-server networks. In a client-server arrangement, network services are located on a dedicated computer called a server. So in this case, we are saying that each this network and dedicated machine is used for these services, and it is called a server. In the previous session, we looked on the previous subtopic. We looked that each and every computer can act as a server, and at another point, it can act as a requester or someone who is requesting for the resources. In this case, it is the opposite. A single machine is used and dedicated for that task as a server. The server responds to the request of our clients. The server is a central computer that is continuously available to respond to requests from client for file, print, applications, and other services. So we have seen that this server is a dedicated computer that is centrally located or centrally for communication and continuous availability to respond to requests from the clients, for example, for files, print, applications, and other services. Most network operating systems adopt the form of a client-server relationship. Typically, desktop computers function as clients on one or more computers with additional processing power or memory, and a specialized software serves as a server. So you have seen that a desktop machine or your laptop or your computer or your phone act as a client, whereas a dedicated machine, which is a server with a powerful processing memory or a powerful processing power, memory, and a specialized software act as a server. So in this diagram, you can be able to see there is several workstations in this side, and on the other hand we have a data store on one server. So this is one server which has been dedicated to store the information or the information that is needed by this workstation. So each and every time this workstation needs any information, it requests from the server. Then this one shows a distributed server, so we have multiple servers, and these are the working stations. So these working stations can request for any files, print, or any application software, and they will be responded to by these servers. But in the case of peer-to-peer, we saw that each and every computer is connected to the other one, and the resources are shared within the workstations. So in this case, files are downloaded from the server to the client. So for example, if you go to any website, or to any, for example, you go to YouTube and download a video. So for example, you as a person who is downloading, you act as like a client who is downloading the information of the file that you are downloading from the internet. Now the server, which for example in this case we can say it's the YouTube server, then they will be acting like a resource store where you can request for anything that you wish to have. So on the other side is that you can be able to upload to the server. For example, this is the server and you have your video. So for example, let's say for example you want to upload your video to the YouTube. So what you are doing is that you are uploading a video from your side, from your machine, or from your computer or your desktop to the server, to the YouTube server. So that our client server works. Servers are designed to handle requests from many clients simultaneously. So for example, you will find that millions and millions of people are watching videos on YouTube each and every minute. But this does not tell an individual to wait so that the other person completed to watch, so that you can be the next one to watch. That's why you are saying that servers are designed to handle requests from many clients simultaneously. Before a client can access the server resource, the client must be identified and be authorized to use the resource. Each client is assigned an account name and password that is verified under authentication services. So in this case, for example, if you want to upload a video to a YouTube server, for example, you must have first of all have created a YouTube channel and also have a password and that account for you to be able to do that. The authentication services grants access to the network with a centralization of user account, security, and access control. Server-based networks simplify the administration of the larger networks. The next thing is that we look at the concentration of network resources such as files, printers, and application on server also makes it easy to back up and maintain the data. So for example, in peer-to-peer connection, we saw that each and every person may be having a unique file, and also to back up their file, they may need a very large storage unit for them to do that. But in this case of a server client, since all the files and application softwares are in one dedicated machine, to create a backup, it's relatively easy to do that. Most client server systems also include ways to enhance the network with new services that extend the usefulness of the network. The centralized function in a client server network has substantial advantage and some disadvantage. Although a centralized server enhances security, case of access and control introduction a single point of failure into the network. Without an operational server, the network cannot function at all. Servers require a trained expert staff member to be an administrator and maintain. So for example, in this case we are saying that there are several advantages and disadvantages. inside of advantages, we are saying that it increases the security and makes sure that everything is controlled well. But on the other side, in case of a server failure, for example, if YouTube fails today, the servers of YouTube failed today, it means that the whole world will not be watching their videos. So that is one of the disastrous part of it. Another thing is that you need a trained expert or a trained administrator of the server for you to be able to keep it up and running. Server systems also require additional hardware and specialized software too, and to the cost. So they are very costly because they require additional hardware and specialized softwares. So advantages and disadvantages of peer-to-peer and client-client server. So in the part of advantages, you can see from peer-to-peer, it is less expensive to implement, but on the other hand, advantages of client network server, you can be able to provide better security. This one does not require additional specialized network and administration software, and also does not require a dedicated network administrator. But on this other side, we say that on the side of client server network, easy to administer when the network is large because administration is centralized, or data can be backed up on one central location. On the other hand, there are several disadvantages. Let's start with peer-to-peer connection. Does not scale well to large networks. Administration becomes unmanageable. For example, you say that if you want to use this type of peer-to-peer network, a number of 10 or less individuals or users is best for you to manage. Each user must be trained to perform administrative tasks. Also, on the other hand, it is less secure. All machines share the resources, negatively impacting the performance. So we have seen that it is less secure, and machines sharing the resources may impact negatively on the performance of the machine as the number increases. It requires special or expensive specialized network administrative and operational software that is on the side of client server network. So another thing is that it requires expensive and more powerful hardware for the server machine. It requires a professional administrator, and also the last point is as a single point of failure. User data is unavailable if the server is down. So we have said that, for example, if the server is down in this case of server network or client server network, then there is a disaster. So the next thing that we look at is data communication hardware devices. So in the next session, we will look at the basic data communication hardware services. Thank you.